All right. So, Pam Bondi is no longer or soon to no longer be the Attorney General of the United States. And it's funny when I texted you about it. I said Pam Bondi's stepping down or resigning. I use one of those two terms because that's the way I believe the Truth Social post that I saw put it out. And you're like, she got fired. And then I got a text from somebody else who's like, yo, Trump fired Bondi. So either way, they can call whatever they want. She's moved to something else that in the private sector that she's very excited about, which is going to be interesting to find out what that is whenever it happens. But it's not about whether or not she got fired or stepped down. It's about that it's time for her to move aside for one way or the other. And then he's being replaced by what, Blanche, you said?
Todd Blanche, yeah.
All right. So what do you know about all this, or what are your thoughts on it?
So the fact that, when people leave Trump's organization, it's not like they leave Trump's organization and then they're like, screw Trump, screw Trump. I mean, you get that from like the MTGs and people like that, but the people who are inside of Trump's cabinet, they don't do that. They leave and they're respectful. Like Joe Kent was respectful a couple weeks ago.
Right.
Chrissy Nome, I think Chrissy Nome may have tiptoed out the back door. But Pam Bondi, here's what I see. Here's this stuff, and this is all fresh, so you don't know. She got placed in a private sector spot, so you have to wonder if she's going to be pulled out later on. Like she's going private sector because private sector, that way she has the ability to do things in the future that maybe the government can't do.
Yes. What you're saying right there, someone described that in a nice sentence online. They called her a potential torpedo in the water.
Yeah,
That's a good way.
yeah, yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah, yeah, that's possible. Another thing that someone said is that Trump seemed to bring his people in, and the media is going to be like, "Oh, Trump's falling apart. He's firing people left and right because he's no good." Blah 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 blah
To
blah
be
blah.
expected.
But
To be expected.
Bongino left. Bongino left, and what's Bongino now? Bongino is basically just the voice of the White House. He's just basically what you want. If you want to know what the White House wants you to know, listen to Bongino. So Bondi gets sent to private sector. Some theories are saying that Trump brings his people in originally because the swamp is just so disgusting and so despicably compromised that they bring their own people to come in and kind of organize it and send people away. Like you'll see on the news, like, oh, this person got fired from the DOJ today. And it turns out that they were assistant to Peter Strzok, and it makes sense why they would get fired. But the media is like, Trump's these terrible people, but really he's getting rid of swampy pieces of garbage. So maybe that was Pam Bondi's job, was to go in and get rid of swampy pieces of garbage. And now that job's done, they're going to hand it off to someone else. The third theory about Pam Bondi that I heard is that she tipped off Eric Swalwell that there was going to be an investigation into him and the whole Fang Fang controversy where
I'm
he
looking forward to that.
Oh, an amazing thing is that this guy, he's the most obnoxious guy online.
Oh, I hate him.
Yeah.
In
Spite of the fact that he got busted sleeping with a Chinese spy, and he has one of the worst on-air farts in history.
Oh, no, you know what? He owned that. He's just like, he just like farted right through it. It was brilliant. He's a moron. We like to think that our elected officials are smarter than us. He's a nice reminder that they aren't. He absolutely is not.
And he was on the Intelligence Committee, and he was part of the J6 committee, and he was also banging a Chinese spy. And people suspect that he could have possibly tipped her off to the fact that they were onto her, and that's how she got out of the country. Now they're suspecting that Pam Bondi may have tipped Swalwell off to the fact that he's being investigated. And this is the type of guy who this ties right into. Yeah, so this ties into, this whole CCP outside influence stuff. It ties right into it. Guys, wouldn't it be interesting if the people who were complaining about outside influence in our elections on January 6th were then investigated by a guy who got busted by a Chinese spy?
Yeah, well, good thing it was a show investigation, like not real. Whatever.
Well, the pardons help. But anyway, so there's that part of Pam Bondi. Now you go to Todd Blanche. Todd Blanche is a guy who
Well, hold on. Let's back up for a second. Before you get on to Blanche, let's continue to talk about the motivation for her going. So all we have is questions right now. It's easy to say like that, well, he's getting However he put it publicly, because he's being respectful, she's being respectful. That's the style of the administration right now when somebody leaves. It isn't you're fired and it's a big public blow up. So it's not that. So whatever the reasoning or whatever the execution is, uh, there's no point in reading into that. The fact that she's gone is what we need to determine. So it could have been she's lost the public's trust because of her mishandling of the Epstein case. On the
Hmm.
surface, it's a big seller, right? And it's really hard to argue against because she screwed that up big time. She was the public, like the binders and the influencers, the binders that had nothing. Then the statement that she said, "I have the entire files on my desk," but she
It's
had
on my
nothing on her
desk.
desk. Right? Yeah,
Yeah.
she did that terribly, and that alone would be enough for Donald Trump to say, okay, we're going to get somebody else out here, right? Now you're saying that she maybe gotten gone because of actual malice, like tipping off Eric Swalwell. That would be subterfuge. That's not good. That's definitely something that's not welcome in this administration. Or the other option is whatever this new private sector job is actually very, very important. My theory, um, and I got nothing to go on. This is just what it looks like to me. Let's say, because right now we got to soften the people up to um, prosecutions, major changes in government, whatever, the big things, the ones that are going to be really explosive to everybody in the public. Um, Let her bumble through the little stuff. Like we went after James Comey for mortgage fraud, right?
Hmm.
Right. So that's little bits. That's nothing. That's like looks vindictive. So use her to test the waters as far as what jurisdictions are going to be more viable, like to in order for prosecutions. Meaning, like what judges are activists, what judges are going to work against us when we really need to do the hard work. Like what judges are not going, or they're going to be fair, as opposed to like, oh well, this guy's clearly guilty of mortgage fraud, but we're going to let him off because he's James Comey, right?
Yeah, was it James Comey who got? Was it James Comey with mortgage fraud? Is that what it was? I know
Mm-hmm.
they got that lovable Tish James on some mortgage fraud,
Same thing. Yeah, they
and
both did the same thing.
Adam Schiff is also getting it. So yeah,
Oh,
I
maybe
didn't
I'm
know that it
thinking
was.
that. No, okay, well, I'm mixing up. So yeah, Schiff was probably it. Schiff, and
Mhm. And
either
Tish
way,
James.
it's small potatoes in the amount of like illegalities that they've done in their time in Congress or their time in their position in their elected positions. So you make her bumble through that. Obviously, people aren't going to look at her as someone who's effective. Like I'm not like when he's getting rid of her, I'm like, okay, fine, let's bring in somebody new. It wasn't like, damn, Bondi's doing so good. What's he thinking? Like, did you have that reaction when they got rid of her? Not at all. So
Mm-mm.
I'm thinking like now, because we need to really start bringing in the guns. I think he's going to bring in guns, but you're telling me it's Todd Blanche, and you're also telling me that Todd Blanche is not the big guns. Now talk about Blanche.
So Todd Blanche is the interim AG, and they're saying that Lee Zeldin is being tapped because Lee Zeldin is doing such a good job that with the EPA that they're going to bump him over
Hmm.
to DOJ. But here's the deal: is that if you listen to like Patrick Byrne is somebody who's been very vocal about Todd Blanche, and also Peter Tickton, who's my vote for Attorney General, and I know that Peter Tickton. Would be a great attorney general. But anyway, and he's in the White House. He knows everything that's going on. These guys are saying that Todd Blanche is really the reason for these prosecutions dying, that he's the one who's suppressing things. Todd Blanche was the one who went and interviewed Ghislaine Maxwell. And that seemed like the most, nobody bought into that. That was just a bunch of, and that was Todd Blanche, and he's the
Yeah,
guy
whatever
that
came out of
he,
that, nothing.
nothing. That's
Mm.
the thing. And this is all Todd Blanche. He was questioned and he, his response, are we ever going to see the list? And he's like, well, your question has been implying that we have a list and all that stuff. He's just very, very evasive. And people who are in the know, who are working inside of the White House, are also saying that Todd Blanche is a problem. So I wonder if Todd Blanche is being placed in this position specifically to flush him out. That's my hope. My hope is Todd Blanche is there to flush him out because all of the people are all of a sudden now going, please, have you seen that Chris Farley? Well, you just arrest somebody.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Everybody's waiting. Everybody's just dying for somebody to get arrested. And
Right.
if Todd Blanche doesn't do the trick, it lets you know that the theories about Todd Blanche are true.
Well, I hope you're wrong on that one because that's a big waste of time that we don't have anymore. We're almost a year and a half into the presidency at this point. We need to start, if things don't start changing visibly, physically changing soon, it doesn't matter what we do to the how fair we make the the elections. We got a real strong chance of losing. If we lose, then we're not going to get anything. You're not going to get anything done here. No, no, but say so. No, hear me out. Hear me out. Hear
Oh,
me out.
oh, 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 we got a
I
Todd
get
Blanche in the
that.
we got a Todd Blanche in the crab pot. Sorry.
I I get that, right? But we don't have time for that anymore. So I'm hoping maybe he's like an unexpected treasure, kind of like Marco Rubio. When they announced him, I'm like, shit, really? We're gonna have Rubio? Now I'm like huge Rubio fan. But if Blanche goes in, we give him what 2 months to bumble through it, and they're like, okay, that's not going to work, and then they try to throw Zeldin in. Then don't we have to wait for Congress to approve him? Right? This is time we don't have. This is a bad idea. If that's the case, I'm hoping Blanche is the guns. You're saying he's not.
Or
If Patrick Byrne says he's not the guns, then he's not the guns, and we should maybe waste our time with it.
Peter Tickton says the same thing too.
Right.
Peter Tickton says the same thing, you know,
Well, my
and
knowledge of Tickting comes from what you tell me. Patrick Byrne, I get to watch a whole bunch of videos, and I get to listen to him speak for himself.
here's what
Get
I
that?
can tell you for here's what I can tell you for absolute certain is that once again, this never ends up making it on the show, but I will tell you, I have heard Patrick Byrne say in a very small group stuff that came out 6 months, 12 months
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
later. You know, like this guy is a
I'm behind Byrne.
soothsayer. Yeah, this guy's a soothsayer, and he's been talking about Blanche for a long, long time. You know, and Peter Tickton too. Peter Tickton, he said it on my uncle's show, which is why I don't have a problem. I've heard him say it in the meetings, but he said it on my uncle's show too that this guy Todd Blanche is a problem. That's why I really feel like Todd Blanche being put in the AG is just another string in
Fine.
the pot, another string in the pot. And hey, 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 you know where these guys are going crabbing? You know where these guys are going
Yeah.
crabbing?
No, I
They're
get
going
you.
crabbing right off the coast of Cuba. You know what's in Cuba, Chuck? Get low.
I said never sing again, man.
Oh.
Well, then I think this is a horrible mistake. We don't have. I mean, we don't have time for that. So whatever.
I think
We'll
we I think it's one last crab in the pot before they throw him in the bottom of the boat.
Hey, look, trust the plan.
Peter Tickton for AG.